We are currently back on the pile in Yancey County, North Carolina. We have a skid steer and some other help and other equipment available to search for a body and to hear that we could smell but can't locate because of the amount of duff and all the loose debris and the other heavy timbers that are pancaked and stacked on top of each other. But we'll keep you updated. So we're here at Beulah Dean getting ready to go back to try to do this body recovery. Right now it's snowing, and for those that don't believe that it snowed, you can see the white caps on the mountaintops there. So yeah, this is the weather we're working in today, but we're gonna find that body. We're gonna bring people home. That's what we do. It's cool. We're in Beulah Dean, North Carolina, where they've set up a supply post at the old Holliston High School. It's a community center. And CH-47 Chinook helicopters and other helicopters are bringing in supplies about every hour, dropping it off here, distributing it. Our team is heading out to Poplar, Green Mountain, and Red Hill to take supplies in there. See you soon.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I've got two special guests. One so special, I don't even know. I don't even know. That's how special this guest is. So, hello, everybody. I see you. Thank you, NSC lady. GM Lovely, I appreciate you. Lisa Maxwell, I appreciate you. Rapper, I appreciate you being very good so far. Thank you, GM Lovely. All right, I'm going to bring up our special guest. This is Niels, and then I will let him introduce his partner here.
Hey, everybody coming in, by the way. So good to see y'all.
Hey guys, for those that don't know me, I'm Niels the Iron Wolf. Next to me is Heath, one of my brothers, and he was also on our team down in North Carolina for the operations there. Our third hero is over there cooking right now.
Yeah.
Trying to clean, so she'll be here in just a minute though. Sorry for the shakiness of the camera. Got attached to the table, so every time we bump it, if that happens.
No worries. No worries. So, and I'm sorry. What's your friend's name again?
Heath.
Heath.
Go ahead, Heath.
Yeah, I'm Heath Gore from Alabama.
Roll Tide Roll. I don't know. I hope you're not an Auburn fan, but
yeah, all the Alabama boys that rolled in down there to drop off supplies, they heard his accent. And they were like, "Roll Tide!" So I had to hear that Roll Tide shit.
Oh,
First time someone from Alabama came in to drop off supplies.
Alabama A has a bullet.
Yeah.
Braves A is the real A.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good though, man. It was really great.
Nice to meet you, Heath.
Nice
to meet y'all too.
Not the incident that happened, but the people we got to meet. I mean, just genuine, great-hearted American folk.
That's beautiful.
When Appalachian folk help each other, and when the rivers rise, so do Americans, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and for all of you, let me just break it down. I know some of you don't know who Niels is. So Niels has been in North Carolina assisting once Hurricane Helene came in. It devastated many states, but North Carolina specifically. And so the landslides, the torrential rain, I think in order to not let the dams break, they went ahead and released huge amounts of water. On top of that, they were getting, I believe, over 30 inches of rain in the mountains. So it caused severe landslides and buried whole entire towns in mud. So Niels answered the call, and he's been assisting in North Carolina rescue missions,
Yes.
delivering supplies, and unfortunately, body recovery. So,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
when are you heading back?
November 5th and 6th. We're going back.
What? Okay, can I ask you, inside of you, what made you know that you needed to go?
I've done this for 28 years in 23 different countries. We were the second DMAT team into Haiti. Responded to Thailand. Responded to Nepal. We were on standby for Fukushima when I was with DMAT team. And I worked with FEMA actually before I started working at the hospital again, IETS in 2019, March 2019. I was a planning specialist under IMAT, incident management team. So I've served all aspects of disasters, from the planning to boots on the ground. I had a friend in Kingsport. We watched it and we knew it was bad and those people needed help. And we have a mutual friend that he lives in Kingsport. And he had called the weekend before and he says, I want to help. And I said, brother, go help. And he said, I've never been on a disaster before. He's like, you've done this most of your life. We need to get a team together. I said, yeah, go for it, man. He said, my people are hurting. We need help. And Heath is from Northeast Alabama. So Appalachian folk always help each other. That's a general rule. If you live in Appalachia and someone else it doesn't matter if you're from New York all the way down to Alabama, Appalachian folk need help, you answer the call. It's a very close, tight-knit thing in the mountains. Mountain folk always help each other. So he called me. We talked about it over the weekend, and he said, hey, we need to go down. And that was Sunday or Monday night. And my last shift of that set at the ER was Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So Angie wanted to go because she raised the babies while I was off running around going on disasters and things. And so came home at 7. We packed our gear that night, met a friend across the river in Ohio to pick up supplies, and we headed straight down to Kingsport. From there, we moved into East Tennessee. We were originally going to go to Damascus, Virginia. We ended up going into trade between Mountain City, Tennessee, and Boone, North Carolina, and hit those areas first. It was really bad there. It was really bad there as well. And the next day, we worked our way south into Irwin and Unicoi, and they were getting supplies in by helicopter or by ground. And we crossed the mountain, Iron Mountain, over into Beuladine, and that's where everything pretty much started from there as far as major actions and operations.
So while you're out there, paint the picture for everyone. No communication, no roads, no...
The roads were, not all of the roads, but of course most of the river roads and some other higher elevations were damaged severely, and either by the water or at some higher elevations, and many of the mountain roads, even the main routes, the state route 226, 197, by tree debris from fallen trees that had crushed guardrails.
And I'd say not just the road, but the railroads as well.
Yeah, the railroads as well. So it wasn't just, undermining by water or washout of roads by water, but there was a lot of damage from downed trees and stuff from tornadoes in the area. And I'll get into the specifics in a minute about the damage and why no one evacuated. But yeah, it was hard to gain access, and contractors and NCDOT tried to establish some type of temporary road or bridge to be able to get supplies through the area. It's very difficult in certain areas like Green Mountain, Bakersville, Red Hill, Micaville, Bailey, Relief. We were actually headed to when we found, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I know when we found that life vest, we were actually on our way to Relief in the Horseshoe Bend that we were going to search in that area for bodies and search and recovery, and the entire road was washed out. So if you the picture that I sent, if you see the tree with the other limbs and debris wrapped around it, if you zoom in, you'll just see the entire road just washed out. It's just like a giant fist just punched it and obliterated the bank. So yeah, it was very difficult getting into there and other areas with down trees and washed out bridges, culverts, and we would hike these supplies into people if we couldn't get to gain access by vehicle. But as far as destruction, traders, 28 disasters, many major disasters, including Haiti. I have never seen the amount of damage done from a storm that I've seen with this one.
Wow.
That's what I was wanting. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's what I was really wanting to ask you, because I know that me and you have talked personally about certain disasters we've both seen, especially being from the South, and not necessarily you, but me. This was bad.
Yes. This is the worst thing in 30 years that I've ever seen.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, it was the worst. Not as far as deaths, but as far as damage and destruction, yes.
Right.
And a lot of people, have commented, and not everybody's going to be versed in something like this. Everybody's been through a disaster, but nobody has been through something of this magnitude. And we had a storm from a cold front that had moved through and hit Appalachia, all the way from down towards Heathsway, all the way up to Pennsylvania. And the storm had hit, and what happens sometimes is when these storm fronts come through, they'll hit the mountains, and they'll just recirculate, and they stall. And we call that a rain shadow. And that's what happened, but it lasted 4 days. So we were in a drought here in West Virginia, and so we needed the rain. So 4 days of rain, hey, we're good. It didn't even fill up my creek, but down towards Heathsway, western North Carolina, northeast Georgia, they got the brunt of it. So 4 days of rain, the rivers weren't breached yet, but they were high. It already started flooding down there 2 days before the hurricane hit. So when the hurricane had come through, no one expected it to be a Category 1, and it's not common. Normally the mountains break it up, or as it moves over land, it decreases in strength, but this hurricane did not. So that area got hit with a Category 1 hurricane, and it stalled over Mount Mitchell, which is east of southeast of Burnsville, northeast of Asheville. So it stalled and dumped 15 to 30 inches of rain in 3 to 5 hours. That's 6 months worth of rain. On top of that, 106 mile an hour winds with 140 mile an hour wind gusts. One of the locals described it as King Kong sitting on top of Mount Mitchell, just beating down tornadoes for hours.
Wow.
So you have those winds, those tornadoes, plus this rain, and then here comes the flooding, because water always moves down to the lowest point, and these are mountain valleys and hollers and things like that. So that's why if you see some of the videos, it looks like flash flooding, and then all of a sudden you just see this wall of trees and rocks.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we call debris flow. And when all that builds up, it has to go somewhere. So many rivers like the North Toe, the Swananoa, the South Toe, the Nolichucky, and Cane Creek, the water was moving at 70 to 75 miles an hour, which is why there's so much destruction. But the most important thing, and this is what really got me, from almost breaching its banks, the water rose 45 to 60 feet in less than 20 minutes. There was no warning. You couldn't evacuate. In these mountain valleys with the river valleys, everywhere you go, you would be surrounded. There were people that were stuck on bridges that were hoping to be above the water and just let it go
Right.
by and then get to safety, because either side of the bridge was flooded as well, and then the bridges just failed. One of the pictures that I sent to you was from Green Mountain, where it shows that little plant across the street that's actually a quartz factory. They mine the quartz, they run it through tumblers, they shape it, clean it, and then they send it out to wherever, like Pigeon Forge or state tourism sites. But it's snapped that bridge. There's columns right at the water line. Now, that bridge is less than 8 years old. Many of those bridges in the area are less than 8 years old. So they're brand new bridges, basically. But it broke 3 out of the 4 spans of that bridge. And what hit me in the chest when we were down there with the power of this event, it flipped 3 spans of that bridge upside down. That's a lot of weight.
Not only that, but it carried that one down.
Yeah, and
like what, 25 yards?
Yeah, it carried. About 25, 50 yards. It flipped it upside down and carried it down and set it on the bank. And that was just unreal. I've seen lots of damage from nature and disasters. I've never seen 3 spans of a bridge flipped upside down.
No, that's
carried.
That's what I couldn't believe. The devastation of the roads is one thing, because I know, it doesn't take much to devastate a road. We've all seen that. But the bridges, the homes just being swept away. I mean, the landslides, Neil. By the way, hello, wifey, behind you.
So the
Can she hear me? Maybe?
no.
I didn't hear.
Oh, Angie.
Oh.
Can't hear.
Hey, Angie. Good to see you.
I can't hardly hear anything.
I know. Okay.
Well, let me kill this TV.
I don't know if it's
You
that.
should introduce your wife, thank you, please.
I'm pretty sure I have my volume all the way up. I don't know. I'm fucking half deaf anyways. I'm an old man, so.
Everybody, thank you for showing up tonight. This means a lot to. Well, he just lost himself.
same.
No,
thing.
I'm here. I'm
Okay.
here. I was just trying to. I pressed too many buttons at one time.
You're good.
I felt a little stupid. So Angie was down there with us. It was her first disaster.
Go lay down. Go.
Do you honestly, from a fresh perspective, do you want to speak on that? And I'll let her out real quick on what she saw.
I mean,
That's.
I don't know what to do.
Like your initial impression.
It's okay. You don't have to, Angie. It's fine. No, you're good. But it's good to see you again, though, Angie.
You too.
She's seen. I'm gonna let the dog out real quick. She has like heard stories from me on disasters and stuff and seen pictures, but
Yeah.
truly for her to respond to a disaster, especially her first time responding, not being in a disaster but responding.
Oh, I've been in plenty of disasters.
No, I mean it's good to get
up
up.
there to help with any of them. Because, like you said, I was raising my babies.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping people. I really did.
They were really good people up there.
Oh yeah. Bunch of great folks. Great folks.
I'm so thankful that you went down there and just jumped in to help.
Oh yeah. And I'm excited to go back.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys. I say it's Earth Angel, and I mean it. You guys are Earth Angels, and it's incredible what you're doing. It's incredible what you're pushing to do, and that's why these stories are so important for me. Katrina, we all know Hurricane. I mean, everybody knows Hurricane Katrina. But I'm just now hearing stories about Hurricane Katrina. And then I thought to myself, if we don't get these stories out, we're doomed to repeat. And even though it's hard and it's traumatic for not only the survivors to know they're not alone, the people like yourself that went out there to help and are going to continue to go not only physical, mental exhaustion, emotional, people breaking down all over in shock. I mean, the things you guys are dealing with, not even maybe being aware of, that's going to take years to unpack. And if we continue to tell these survivor stories and we continue, maybe we can get some preparedness. I mean, these are, what do they say, 500-year storms? No one
500,000-year storms, yeah.
Yeah. No one thinks it's going to happen, and then it does happen. But then the beauty of everyone coming together, that's the stories that I want to try to tell.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely. That was the amazing part of it too. Was I don't know if it's just everybody come together, all the volunteers, not just the local communities, but there was people like there was a guy on our team named Dean. He owns his own company in California. They do like gas wells and gas fires and things like that out there. He left the company to his son. Drove 3 days from Bakersfield, California, with an RV and a side-by-side, a 1100 Polaris turbo buggy and chainsaws, and had a Garmin GPS system on top, which also gave us internet locally. And he drove 3 days. He showed up. He said, like late at night when we got back, we actually got back to the VRC in Beulah, North Carolina, and it was like 8:30 at night, and he showed up and said, "Hey, I want to help." Because of course some of the other staff for the offices and information and stuff were closed, but yeah, he just showed up and said, "I want to help. What are you guys doing?" Absolutely. And we told him, and he came out with us. He's a licensed electrician, so he was a huge help.
Oh yes,
he was a huge help. Great guy. But yeah, there was people like that all over the place. Hey, I want to do search and recovery as well. What are you guys doing? We can hit supply routes. Jason and Kendra from Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville got hit too, and these people came to Western North Carolina, the WNC we call it now, to help. There was volunteers from everywhere: New Jersey, New York, prior service guys, first responders, people that just camped, hiked, did off road. Candace and Donnie, if you're watching, I love you. Great people, and the Jeep girls, we call them Jeep babes. Jeep babes, yeah, was a Jeep babes. So yeah, I mean, with their vehicles, they can access areas. There was people, that was how people were, good Appalachian folk or anybody that had buggies or any type of four-wheel drive vehicle that could access some of these areas that were hard hit.
Yeah, because that's, not to interrupt you, that's the one thing that I don't think many people thought about, how hard it is to get into some of those places, especially so high up. Me and traders were talking about actually having a home, not knowing the landslide that could possibly happen that your insurance company would never tell you about, because it would never happen, right, in a million years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then again, it happens, and it's not only 2 roads, but it's like 3 roads wide. And it wipes out everything.
It was absolutely horrendous, and every day we heard stories about people that were trapped here or trapped there, and teams would go out and check on them, and some of them were just, it was rumors. It was by telephone. So we started to vet those by somebody would hear from locals, and there was a lot of people. This was their first disaster they've never been on, and disaster rumors always start from day one. So hey, there was this family that was trapped on top of a mountain. Somebody died, and we've heard that story at least 100 times down there. So we would start vetting those, like, give me an address or a road and we'll go check it out. Then they couldn't. Well, I heard it from so-and-so. Okay, get in touch with so-and-so, because someone in that community would have known these people, and we can trace that back to who told the story, who started that incident. And if they can't answer it, then it's unfounded. But we would try to contact somebody in the area to say, hey, can you go check on this place and see if they're okay. One of Angie's friends said, hey, her cousin is trapped on a mountain. Nobody can get into him. And I was like, give me an address. Give me a name of a town. Give me a road. And they couldn't do it with her friend talking to her cousin. And they said, it's a town around Asheville, or it's an area around Nashville with a town that starts with a B. Well, there's like 6 of them. So it's like, we can't narrow that down, and we don't want to waste resources trying to go there while we're actively working in the area that we're in, because that's like 65 miles south. So we would tell another team, we would pass that information on to the county or a team that was working down there and say, hey, if you guys get time and you're delivering this area, can you check on these families? This is the girl's name, and if they're okay, just text us back. And communication was a big thing down there, because most areas you could text. but you couldn't call.
Right.
So we were able to text between each other. And I'll explain this in a nutshell. The first 24 to 30 hours that we moved into Mitchell and Yancey counties, our objective was to identify the supply drops. So small areas accepting supplies for their communities is what we mean by supply drops. That they can get those supplies out to their communities and get contact numbers and names for people that are actively going to be able to be reached to be out there. This is a 300 square mile area that we were working in. So we would hit these areas. If there was no contact, we would leave our information. Hey, if you need something, holler at us. That way we can get the supplies to them. People in the community can come down to these supply drops, these supplied areas, and get stuff. And if they couldn't, we would, if they had people in buggies and certain vehicles, if they could run the supplies to them, we encouraged that. But if they couldn't, then we would show up and reimburse them with the supplies. We'd load up and then we would go take them to wherever was needed. For the most part, most supply areas carried their own. These supply drops are now supply centers. So they can call back to Buladine, which was, we call the VRC now. It was the SDC, which is the Supply Distribution Center. It was like the main supply drop. So when you saw the Chinook coming in, and they were dropping supplies, we were the main supply center, and then the satellite supply areas we could supply. And then we locked that down in 24 to 30 hours. We knew where every supply drop-off point was in Yancey and Mitchell counties in less than 24 hours. So if they needed critical supplies, we could take it straight to them. Heaters, blankets, sleeping bags, cots, tents, butane heaters, propane, camp stove grills. And that's pretty much what we did. And until we kept resupplying them with stuff. And other team members were doing the same to where they were actual supply centers for their region. So we would just take the rest of the supplies, diapers, baby food, blankets, clothing, you name it, boots. We had everything. We had everything there. CO2 detectors as well, which was very important.
Yes.
That was one of the big things. So as they got established and more help came in and more volunteers and local people that were able to help with these supply centers, and it was very quick and it was very organized, and it was becoming more coordinated because we had these contacts now, and we shared that with everybody in the area. There was groups in Black Mountain, Burnsville to the south of us, and up in Boone and Watauga County, and in Trey, Tennessee. So and I'll explain this in a nutshell. In the media, they showed, Chimney Rock is bad. They did get hit very hard. And then Asheville got hit bad, and then Swannanoa and Black Mountain to the north. And so you're seeing all this. So, of course, people around from the country that want to go help and deliver supplies, those are the two areas that we hit the most because that's the two that were talked about the most. So you had Asheville and Burnsville to the south, and Burnsville was our southernmost point on US 19. And then you had Chimney Rock and Blowing Rock and Boone to the north. So we were smack in the middle, and we called it Shit Central. That was our name for it. So everybody was going to the north and going to the south. Nobody was paying attention to what was going on in the middle in Mitchell, Yancey, and part of Avery counties. So that's why we crossed the mountain from Unicoi, Tennessee, when they were good, in Carter and Irwin, and we went into those areas. So slowly, as we came back last week, the teams were finishing their missions in the south and moving north. And it was like an army of volunteers. And it was the same in the north, they were moving south. So the 101st Airborne actually came up last Thursday in their ISVs, and they were supporting us in search and recovery operations. And we told them, we're like, hey, you guys are a week late, but still hit it. You might find something that, the other 12 teams and cadaver dogs didn't hit. So they moved in through those areas. The North Carolina National Guard showed up that morning. We were in Green Mountain at O.C. Whitson store, and they were dropping off supplies that they had. They picked up at Avery Airport and drove in by ground. I said, hey, what medical equipment do you have? I need IV fluids. And they didn't have any to give, but they gave us some other medical supplies. Mm-hmm. And we asked them, what's your mission? They said, scout and identify supply points. We already had it written down. So we just passed it off to them and said, hit these guys and take care of them. Here's the contact points. Call them first.
So
the
that boy,
contact numbers.
so that boy did smile like it was Christmas.
Oh yeah, they were super excited because we literally just completed 3/4 of their mission. So all they had to do was make sure these supply centers were not what's the word I'm looking for?
Undersupplied.
Undersupplied, I guess is a good word for it. So the North Carolina National Guard, we passed off our supply routes to them. And people have to understand that North Carolina National Guard didn't come in and take our supply points. We didn't turn it over to them. They were still using our supply stations and distribution centers. But
We got big moving up on the hill.
they probably deer. And they were just literally running our supply routes, which took a huge burden off of us, so we could focus on search and recovery and other operations.
Absolutely.
So, and they were very adamant. They want to keep it local and state. I mean, hell, that's their state. Those are their people.
I think I know when they took over from you that I know that they were very happy, all the work and effort you put in. And again, it's just you guys all working in tandem while one hand's doing this, the other hand's doing that. And in these, not that I've ever been in one, but every second counts, every day counts, every moment counts.
It was exactly, but I know it wasn't on here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And that was
Started off the other night.
that was the most important thing, which is why. And I told Caleb and Heath. Caleb's in Kingsport. Caleb Baker. He's a monitor. He's off tonight. He'll be here tomorrow. But explain to them that the two most important things in a disaster is access and communication. If you don't have that from the beginning, it's going to fail. It's going to fail.
Right.
So of course we were hardcore on the communication. We were gaining access to these areas. Other volunteers in the area were doing the same. And as the incident progressed, the events, it became a lot easier. And everybody was all for communication. We were communicating with Dustin Koken teams in Green Mountain. We were communicating with teams and supply points across the border into eastern Tennessee. So we knew if they were okay. Yeah, there was a lot of damage. Houses need cleaned up. Samaritan's Purse had moved in, and they were everywhere. I mean, they were delivering hot food to us, to local people. They were cleaning up houses. They were helping in supply points, and they were a blessing down there. They were an absolute blessing to see those people down there. And anything you asked them to do, they would do it. I mean, they were going door to door just asking people, what help do you need? There was no American Red Cross. There was no Salvation Army. There was no FEMA. These were all communities and volunteers from in-state and out-of-state and Samaritan's Purse and other church organizations and small disaster relief organizations moving in. And if they saw us there and they wanted to do something, or they said, hey, we want to search this. Hey, we've already searched this same region 12 times with cadaver dogs multiple times. Or we've already supplied this area and we passed the information. Here's a contact number. So they're like, okay, cool, I can do this. And everybody was in cooperation and coordination and communication, and it was great. The 3 C's. And it worked out perfectly. And we knew from social media, not last weekend, but the weekend before, there was going to be an influx of people wanting to bring supplies down. People had messaged me on TikTok that, hey, we're coming with 7 truckloads from Texas or Chicago or Indiana or Ohio or Missouri. There was that one girl from Missouri.
Yeah, Lisa.
And we're like, hey, cool, go to this place. And they're like, we want to go where you are. And I'm like, no, you don't, because we have plenty of supplies. I'll turn you away. Access on the roads and going across the mountain is dangerous. So go to this place because they need it more. So, for example, Burnsville was our southernmost point at that border. And we had critical supplies, propane, butane, heaters, sleeping bags, cots, tents, things like that. There was something else too that they desperately needed. I know I've got it written down in my book, and
I don't remember off the top of my head.
yeah, so yeah, they desperately need it. We had too much of it, and all of our areas, Bakersville, places like that, were good. So we contacted them, and they were like, hell yeah, we need this stuff. So we took 4 truckloads, and one was a massive like F-450 dually with the utility dump full of just heaters and propane, 20-pound tanks of propane.
That's wonderful.
And we drove 4 truckloads down from Buladine to Burnsville and dropped that off to them.
And basically,
And they were so excited. Like we had like 10 people helping unload these trucks.
I bet. I know there was convoys headed out there, but it's different. You know, you see it on the, well, not the people in the mountains clearly can't see it on the news, but when I'm sure they were so happy to see you guys.
Oh yeah, there was tons of volunteers. Like there was local volunteers. Samaritan's Purse was there. So when you see like the big shopping center with all the bags, like 8 deep, full of clothes and other supplies and stuff, that was Burnsville. It's at Fred/Rose's. They're right across from downtown Burnsville, across 19. And we had a nickname for it. We called it Mad Max Costco, or the Black Hawk that was flying over, and the tarps and shit were flying up. That was the same spot. So yeah, we even had, and you'll love this, we had helo pilots numbers, so we can text them or call them. Hey, we can't get to this area. If you meet us here, can we drop this off to you and you fly it in? And they would, gladly do it.
That is amazing. That is the most beautiful thing, is just hearing you talk about everyone coming together and that.
tell them about young Dean.
Oh yeah, we had this one kid. He's prior army, served the tour in Afghanistan. He was with us when we went to Burnsville, hooked up with us, and hey, what do you guys need? He was with us when we did the search and recovery on the North Toe River, all the way down past Green Mountain, on Toe River Road, and ran around with us all day, busted ass. Man, we were kicking ass that day. And he lives in Buladine. He's from Burnsville. He works in Burnsville, but he lives in Buladine, like 20, 30 miles north. So we get back to the SDC that night, and he's like, man, I hope my house is warm tonight and it's not so cold. That was after it snowed. Or no, it was right before it snowed. It was before it snowed. Yeah, and it started getting really cold at night, like 30, 24 at night. And we were like, what? And he lives local, and we're like, grab a heater. And he's like, no, man, there's people that need it. And we're like, you are local. You are a survivor of this as well as a volunteer. So we went and got a heater, 2 20-pound propane tanks, and some other stuff, and loaded it up in his vehicle so he could take it back to his house and stay warm until the power came back on. But that's the type of people that we had. Even locals were worried about everyone else but themselves. They were absolutely selfless. And that was the type of people that we had working down there.
That's amazing. You guys really are earth angels. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it really is, because not just seeing y'all's TikToks, I mean, your TikToks, but other people's, there's so many missing people still.
Yeah.
And they don't even care about the damage that's been done.
Upstairs.
There's somebody that, is still looking for people in debris that's 20 foot high. And they don't even know where to start.
Yeah, there was 100 found in 6 days, or 6 miles, just 6 miles on the North Toe. There was a lot that were washed 20, 30 miles downstream. And the Toe River runs, it runs into the Nolichucky, the confluence of where the Cane River from the south flows into the Toe River from the east. And then it becomes the Nolichucky River and flows all the way up into Irwin and through Unicoi. So where you saw the hospital with the Black Hawk helicopters, they were evacuating the residents and the staff and the patients. That was the Unicoi hospital. So the Nolichucky runs right through there alongside of Interstate 26. So there were people washed as far as Irwin, 20, 30 miles away from the Green Mountain area where we were actively searching.
I think we talked about this a long time ago, but things are replaceable. And I know it hurts when you see your children's pictures or, memories that you've had in your house forever, but you can't replace people, guys.
No.
And this has always been a hard subject for me. I'm not going to bring up Trader's situation, but I know me and Nils have talked about it a long time. And when this happened, I can't even imagine the unknowing to not knowing, like you just said, 30 miles, y'all.
Yeah.
30 miles.
Yeah, the water, I mean, rose 45 to 60 feet, another 20 minutes. There's a church steeple, and you could see the water line at 60 feet. He saw it. Andrew saw it.
Flowing
and-
at 70 miles an
Yeah,
hour.
flowing at 70, 75 miles an hour. I mean, just unrelenting force.
How fast the
And
water was
we
going.
know, and a lot of people have messaged and commented me and on my pages and stuff. And why don't they release the official numbers? You're not going to see one for years. Why won't they tell us the truth about how many missing or how many dying in '93? That's because those are the ones that they have found, identified, notified the families, and released. The rest, I mean, they pulled 200 people out of Hot Springs, out of the river there, just in 16 days, and over 100 from the region that we were, or the area that we were at. I won't say region, but area that we were at. And they didn't stop counting. They have those numbers, just as they identify by dental records. That's how they're doing it. Who these victims are, and then notifying the family. Then they release the information, but it takes time. It takes like a week or two. It won't happen in 3 or 4 days. But the numbers are much higher than what you see. So the projected when we first got there was 33 to 3,700. Now it's up to 5,700, and that's just North Carolina alone. That doesn't include the other 4 states. So,
If you don't care, real quick, so that people know that your background, because of course I know your friend beside you, your wife, of course, and Traders knows, but so they understand where you're coming from, that you do know what you're talking about. Do you want to, if you don't care? I mean, it's up to you.
okay, so I started as a firefighter, 16, 17?
1996.
Yeah, nice. So
you were 17.
I was almost. It was August
You were
2nd, so I was almost 17. So when I was 16, I started off as a firefighter outside of Charleston, South Carolina. And then I was an EMT. Moved to West Virginia. Same thing up here. 911 dispatcher. Got with special response teams, having the training and things like that. Swift water rescue. Actually, one of the girls down there, we had the same swift water rescue instructor out of Charlotte Fire Department. So moved up, worked for many EMS agencies and several fire departments, including major city fire departments in South Carolina and volunteer departments in West Virginia and in South Carolina. So I was with West Virginia State Forestry, on the hot shot crew, U.S. Forestry, DMAT team under state, disaster medical assistance team. So basically how that worked is if there was a disaster in another country and they requested aid from the United States, USAID, U.S. Agency for International Development, would send over a 6 to 8 person assessment team, talk to that government. If they needed medical teams, medical assistance, they would call back, and wherever we were at on the list of who was available, they would call us, and then we would get deployed. And from our DRT, our disaster deployment hit, what we called it, you had to be ready in 24 hours. So get your shit together, get ready to go to the airport and deploy. So we were the second team into Haiti. There was 40 of us. We treated 7,000 people the first 7 days, and we only lost 4. So we had special forces medics and things like that with us. And that casualty count was just through the roof. But we saved a lot of people. So between state disasters plus the flooding here in West Virginia in 2016, multifaceted rescue training. I've done this 28 years. I'm very much suited for this. So
I just wanted people to know your background. That's all.
Yes, that's fine. So I was a planning specialist with FEMA. I worked with their SAR team for a while too. One of their SAR teams. We've done wilderness search and rescue here in West Virginia and very mountainous terrain. And I ETS from FEMA in 2019 as a planning specialist on incident management, and went into hospital life, went back to the ER life right before COVID hit. So I've been out of the disaster world for 5 years, and I was like, I'm retired from it. I don't want to do it anymore. Until Caleb called and said we need help, and then everybody started texting each other, and then boom, we're on the road. In 24 hours, 24, 48 hours, we're like, let's do it, and all met in Kingsport at Caleb's house.
Gotcha. But yeah, I know y'all have only. How far of the devastation have y'all technically been able to go through so far?
Let's see, we went to
No, I'm
Just
sorry. You do have a question, real quick.
like down there.
Yeah.
We saw most of East Tennessee and Western North Carolina as far north as Burnsville. From Burnsville to Spruce Pine, up to Bakersville, Mars Hill, Roan Mountain, Fork Mountain, Green Mountain, Wolf Laurel, Poplar, Bailey, Relief. I mean, pretty much that whole entire region.
Gotcha.
We were there, and it looks the same everywhere. But the one thing we noticed is from Iron Mountain on the other side of Unicoi, and Irwin, that's in East Tennessee. So on the North Carolina side, south, the farther south we went, the worse it looked. The worse it was, the closer to Mount Mitchell. And we were right next to Mount Mitchell in that area, too. We had to deliver some insulin to New Dale Fire Department. And it was just absolutely devastating.
Six Up Media.
Go tell him I'm in here, and I'll see him in just a second. One of my other buddies, he wasn't there with us. He wanted to go, but
Yeah.
he just arrived. So
Oh, cool. Does he want to be on camera? Or no?
yeah, I'm going to get my headset on now. Hold on.
Can you not hear us, or we not?
Give me 2 seconds. That way, for you guys, you can hear me better.
Okay.
I'm going to black out for just a minute.
I did get, here is the, now, Neil said earlier that Samaritan's Purse is the people that were there with the communities, hands-on with everybody, bringing everybody hot meals. So I'm putting their website in the chat.
There we go.
Meals will be headed back the 5th and the 6th of November to continue with the whatever they need help with. You're welcome, 6-Up.
Yeah,
I
the recovery
appreciate
operations.
all of you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Niels.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, I'm going to turn
So-
your volume up just 1 second.
Yeah, it kind of sucks on StreamYard.
It's okay. I can fix it.
So
There we go. Okay.
we do have donation. We do have. It's on my bio on TikTok, and
I've
I
got
think
your
that's actually the only
PayPal.
place.
I've
Yes,
got your
yes.
PayPal in the description of this video. Also, your channel link. So that way we can get you. I've been sharing out a lot of my community posts. I've been sharing out Niels's information. This earlier, a month or so ago when I said I'm not vetting these people, I will vouch wholeheartedly with everything I have on Niels. This is one man, one person that I would lay it all on the line for. It's the least we can do. He is, helping me by, the way I can contribute.
Yeah, and that's it. It's getting the information out, sharing these posts and stuff. So the others, there was a girl actually in Burnsville when I sent out the video this morning from Yancey County. She's like, "We didn't know any of this. Thank you so much for it." And I was like, "Cool, repost on TikTok, share this out so your neighbors and everybody else can get it." And again, that goes back to communication. Get this information out. And you and Anissa have been absolutely amazing about it, especially on YouTube. And not many people watch YouTube or pay attention to Instagram, but we still put it there so we can at least get that information out.
Niels, to be honest, a lot of people that Traders has, shared it with, they've been sharing it too. And I'm not going to, mention them all because there's a lot of people, but I just want to say for everybody, thank you. Thank you to your team. I mean, not your team, but thank you to everybody that you're with. It takes a lot, y'all.
Yeah.
It really does. Not mention to say the man time that it takes walking the distance, but then the stuff that you see and witness, the stories that you hear. If you've never been through it, I don't wish that upon anybody. And me and Niels talked. This is what is so ironic in a way. We talked about this a long time ago. Remember?
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
And I just want to say thank you.
You're
I
very
really
welcome.
am. Thank you.
What hit me the hardest, uh, the destruction and the earthquake in Haiti, the floods in 2016,
Hmm.
and 2015 in Missouri, and 2016 in Missouri. I was actually deployed to that one, and here in West Virginia, and people from everywhere. And it was the same thing. Communities started everything, and there's so much help coming in. The earthquakes in Pakistan, um, Nepal in 2012, the tsunami in Thailand in 2009. So many different incidents, and you don't get numb, but you get acclimated to the environment, so you know what to expect when you go in. There's going to be damage. There's going to be cars crushed or flooded out and flipped upside down, covered in mud. You're going to see stuff, household items, things like that. Um, but this was the first time, knowing what to expect when you go into a disaster. This is the first time that I've ever gone into a disaster and it was worse than I expected.
Hmm.
That it actually hit me that hard, and it takes an emotional toll as well as a mental toll. And you get your mind right before you go because you have to be strong-willed to do these things. And it just set me back. It was like getting hit in the chest, like a punch right square to the sternum. And didn't know what to think at first. And then you start seeing the houses that were wiped out. Everybody saw the videos before that. But when you see that, then you get down there and you understand that pictures or videos will not do it any justice. You have to see it firsthand. And then when you see it firsthand, your mind tries to explain to you what's happening. So we have a rule on our team, and I explained it to Heath and Caleb and Angie, that we go in 7 to 14 days in and then 7 to 14 days out. That way it gives yourself time to rest, uh, so you're not grumpy and unfocused from the event, your mission that you're supposed to do. But it gives your mind time to acclimate, and to adjust to what was going on. So you don't get too over emotional, and try to stay focused on why you're there. So I even posted on TikTok the other day from work. It's like I don't feel right. I need to go back down there and help them. And I know our team that's still down there working with other teams and volunteers, it's going to be rough on them and they need the help. Um, and everybody was like, rest. And I knew it. I couldn't break my own rule. And I
Right.
couldn't break the rule that I told the team, hey, this is how it has to be. It doesn't feel right, but this is how it has to be. And you feel that way after every event. In Haiti, we were working 30, 45 hours straight. You might get a 5-minute power nap or 10-minute power nap and go right back to work. And I remember what that exhaustion was like. And I was 31 years old then, a little bit older now. So
Hmm.
it's like I understand, but we were there for a short period of time in our first rotation, to the point that the Haitians thought we were actually cyborgs, because of the way that we worked. So excuse me, we worked the same way when we were down there. Let's bust ass and get everything we can done, and then we can go back home and rest, and then refresh and go right back down in there. Still keeping coordination and communication with everything that's going on, so we're not blindsided when we go in. Had a teammate today, messaged her, checking on everybody, and she's like, "It's not the same without you guys down here. Quit your job, come down." And I was like, "Nah, we'll be down on the 6th. Just hang in there, and then you guys can rotate out and do your thing, and we'll get fresh bodies in there."
Yeah.
So the worst part, and I really hate this, is it was the same for the cadaver dogs. Um, they're so overworked, and everybody's overwhelmed, but these poor dogs are just so overworked. Now we got like 200 fresh dogs coming in.
Good.
One of our team members, she's one of my followers on TikTok as well. I think she's there for another 2 days. And iK9, he's down there too.
Have you
Um,
heard of? I'm trying to only share things that I can vet,
yeah,
because panic. I don't want to share things that are just outlandish. But have you heard
go ahead and
about
ask me anything.
have you heard about the cadaver dogs passing away?
No, no.
Okay, because they're
Especially in the areas, and I know that because there's a lot. There's somebody that asked me tonight on my live about that. It's like the game of telephone. Like we went back with the disaster
Mhm.
rumors, and there's some guy on TikTok and other platforms that he's saying, oh, there's nuclear waste and stuff, and people's legs are getting eaten off, and it's killing the dogs and horses. Like right now, I was knee
Right.
deep in silt when I sunk in. We were actually actively searching. So the video where we were on the North Toe went across a small stream and just got sunk up in mud. So, and I told everybody if that was true, then I wouldn't have a leg,
Correct.
left leg.
Okay.
But yeah, there is no. Don't get me wrong. There is contamination. There is
Yes.
contamination of
Absolutely.
water,
Right.
fluids from vehicles, septic systems, farm waste, and farm chemicals. So the Nolichucky River and the Tow River and Cane Creek was it was crystal clear, like a glass of water. And because of these contaminants, it's a really weird forest green type of color now. So if the background noise gets too loud, let me
No,
know.
it's
But
fine.
the it's this weird forest green color. Never seen it before. I've been down there into the region as
Right.
far back as 2 years ago, um, and remember how it looked when we drove through there, and it's absolutely beautiful. And how much wider the river is, and how green it is from the contamination. We weren't in the water, and we knew we weren't going to be in the water. We told others that wanted to volunteer for search and recovery, don't go in the water because there's contaminants and it could make you sick. It could irritate
Mhm.
your skin. But yeah, there's that's unfounded. Um,
Okay.
no horses, dogs, humans, or anything
I thought
have been sick.
I thought it might be. You know, I'm starting to. I think I'm starting to get the feeling of what's
So
flat out rumor and what's kind of on the money. So I
I
thought,
just oh,
You're a very good judge of character, and you know when to spot bullshit out on rumors. That's what I love about you.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
listen. She didn't judge me well. Wait a minute. Now, what are you talking about?
Oh, come on. You know that better. She can go on a hell. We could have a whole separate stream on that shit.
Shut up, Neil. Such.
Right
I
now,
mean,
he's at home resting. But will you tell Life's a Dance what areas you were in again?
oh shit. Well, hold on. I'm gonna break the book out on this too because yeah.
Okay, I
So
will be right back. You go ahead and keep going. I'll be right back.
Okay,
we
darling.
were in Irwin, Tennessee, Unicoi, Tennessee, Trade, Tennessee, and the surrounding areas, from Mountain City down to just north of Boone. We were in Red Hill. We were in Limestone Cove. We were in North Bend, Poplar, Green Mountain, Roan Mountain, Bakersville, Burnsville, Spruce Pine, Mount Mitchell, uh, Wolf Laurel, um, Relief, Bailey, pretty much anywhere between Boone and Burnsville. That's where we were at. Um, and as far east as um, Spruce Pine, and as far west as Wolf Laurel, and all the little itty bitty towns in between along the rivers. So, which is a huge area. It was like 300 square miles complete, um, in a short period of time, in just 10 days. And between our team and other teams, we got a lot done in less, and actually the first 8 days.
You've been a lot.
Yeah,
You've been to a
we did
lot
a
of
lot.
places.
3.5 to 5 hours of sleep, working 16, 18-hour days, going back. There was actually two girls and because we would go back to the VRC and Buladine and check in, let everybody know, hey, we came back, we're okay. We're gonna go back to base and get a shower and some food and rest. Drink a beer. We try to debrief every night by a fire with a beer, and then get our showers, go to bed, wake up, and go right back out. But we went back to the VRC every night to let them know that, hey, we're okay. We're here. We're going to grab a cup of coffee or something to drink. And there was two women. Even if we had to, if we were in the middle of one mission and we came back from like, okay, we searched this area, it's okay. Let's go back. If someone needs supplies, we can take that out, or we could resupply, and um, we could go out into a new search area. And then there's two women, actually three. There was Megan, Misty, and Jennifer, who forced us to at least sit down and get a hot meal for 5 minutes, get some hot grub in our bellies before we went back out. I couldn't tell you how many churches and how many other places that were like, get some food before you go. No, we're fine. That's for you guys. We're going to head back out. But
Mhm.
Jennifer, Misty, and Megan, they absolutely made sure every time we came in and they were there, they wouldn't let us leave unless we got some hot food. Sometimes we'd grab it and say, hey, we'll eat it on the run. And we did. We'll just scarf it down going down the road until we got to our next mission area.
I'm so thankful for that because I know your wife knows, and I definitely know how stubborn y'all can be.
Yeah.
Um, and I know you're very dedicated, so I'm not taking away from that. But
Yeah,
you know,
Angie had to leave that Sunday, and I stayed a few extra days,
yeah.
5 or 6 extra days. She felt bad for leaving too, but she had busted ass as well until we got home last Thursday night. So for those that don't understand, where I worked at the I worked like a 5 6 day set, and it was absolute hell at work. It was very busy. Um, and then got home at 7 p.m. that night, packed my shit, took some old rescue gear out that I haven't touched in years. We packed that stuff, went across the river in Ohio, got some supplies, and went straight down to East Tennessee. And then the next day into Western North Carolina. So it was a Monday or a Tuesday. I knew it was a Monday. We got done on a Monday. So we worked down there for 8 to 10 days. Angie had to leave early. Me, Heath, and Caleb were there. Heath drove me back up here last Thursday. We got to this house, my house, at 10 p.m. Um, Showered, ate, slept, woke up 5 o'clock the next morning, got to work at 7, and went right back at it for 5 days straight until this past Tuesday night when I got off work. So I had not slept in 3 weeks.
I bet you haven't.
And I slept 8 hours yesterday and 10 hours or eight hours the night before and 10 hours last night, and still catching up on back sleep. But I fell asleep every day at work except for Tuesday.
Mm.
Just absolutely exhausted.
I've got his PayPal. Let me pin this actually.
Mhm.
And it is
Yeah.
in the description. His channel is also in the description. He
Hmm.
will be going back the 5th and 6th. So there is his PayPal that I'm dropping, and then I'll pin it so we don't have.
And
I say the 5th and 6th because those aren't 2 days that we'll be there, as we have some team members that are going back on the 5th and some that are going back on the 6th.
Yeah.
So we know to meet each other down there. So my
and
plan right now is to go back either the afternoon of evening of the 5th, and if it's too late, then we'll go down on the 6th, and we're going to stay for another 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
and just to reiterate, the PayPal situation, not only to help him with the gas because y'all know gas is extremely expensive
Hmm.
right now, but y'all, it's winter time in that area. It literally just snowed.
Yeah.
So if you want to explain to them what they're needing, how people are being turned away because they have power, but their stuff is all broken.
Yeah, there's some places we left one day, one morning, went down to Green Mountain, hit Bailey down to Bakersville and a part of Burnsville, helping with teams out there, another family, and getting news. Like every day there was like a new supply station at a church or somewhere at a small store out in the middle of nowhere, especially off the right fork of Cane Creek, outside of Bakersville. These people had they're not getting power for 6 to 8 months. So we stopped by this church and we dropped off our last two 20-pound tanks because they had no propane for their heaters for the people out in the area. And we had plenty of supplies. We had a truckload full of supplies. So pickup truck, to give you an idea, pickup truck. We could cram all sorts of shit in that thing, even in the back seat. Um, So there were still people that were bringing in like water. We have plenty of water. So I sent that. I know I sent that picture to you. You'll see the
Mm-hmm.
blue tarp. You'll see that's our SDC, our VRC at Beuladine, North Carolina, and that's all water. That's cases of water, 5 feet high,
Mm-hmm.
like 80 feet wide, and about 40 feet deep. So we don't need water down there. We don't need diapers. There's more diapers than there is babies in North Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee.
Oh,
So,
well, that's
and
a good
formula
thing.
as well, and brand new bottles and baby food. There's plenty of
Good.
that for now. They'll need it in another few weeks, but for now they're okay. But our main focus is trying to get these people into some type of sturdy shelter for the winter.
Yes.
So we are talking with the Amish from out of state and different states, members of our team, of getting tiny homes built or the little pop-up houses. And there are drop-off points in Mitchell County and in Yancey County that you can take these little pop-up houses to. So we're talking local here and down there and in other states. I have to contact, or I'm waiting on a contact from this guy in the Tiny Homes of Maine. His cousin actually sent me that information to see if they can donate it to these people down there. Because a thin nylon tent and a buddy heater is not going to make it last through winter. People's houses that were damaged and gutted by Samaritan's Purse, we have electricians, carpenters, plumbers, down there. Many people have generators that were issued out, and we're trying to go in and rebuild their homes. As long as it's deemed safe, we
Right.
can go in and start the construction. So we're raising funds for these tiny houses and for building materials, which we want to buy local down there because it helps boost their local
Correct.
economy.
Mm-hmm.
If certain materials aren't available, we can buy it local here and haul it down there. But we
Hey,
have got
Niels.
to get these people in before they freeze to death. Yeah.
Niels, you do
hmm
you only have a PayPal?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not good with technology and that stuff, so I just
Do
threw
you?
out the PayPal. I don't
Yeah.
have Venmo. I didn't know what Venmo was until 3 days ago, I'll be honest. And,
But I thought you
the
had
just,
Cash App though.
mm-mm.
No?
No, I don't have Cash App. You have to watch for scam shit on YouTube and on especially on TikTok because people
Yeah.
as there's more people that are down there helping and we're not creators, we're just helpers, that are profiles have just blown up with followers. People are
Mhm.
starting to copy that, mimic, and copy our
Yeah.
pictures, and asking for donations. And those are just, if I ever find those people, I'm gonna rob your ass. Um,
Right.
Here's the thing.
so
I wouldn't care to take it Cash App to me, but so many people, want to say that we don't do it because then I could Cash App to you because me and you talk every day.
yeah,
Um, Maybe you could set one up, possibly, because Cash App is pretty popular. I mean, I'm not trying to ask you to do something you don't want to do.
yeah, I could do that because there's some people that don't use PayPal. There's some people that only use Cash App
Correct.
and certain other things like
And
Facebook Pay. And I don't have Facebook. I have Instagram, but I don't have Facebook.
yeah, and
Um,
I would rather it go to you than me or traders and anything, just to keep it, legit. That's the way we've always been. You know how things go here, Nils.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, if that happens, Tracy,
and and
well,
people are very weary, especially during donations, to
exactly.
during disasters, to donate to individuals.
Hmm.
Um,
Thank you, Jody. I appreciate that.
so, and I understand that. Uh,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people say, well, I don't want to donate to a religious organization or Red Cross because they haven't been down there. The most of them are running shelters in some of these smaller towns and bigger towns, but they're not out amongst the public doing stuff. So they're like, I don't know, it's just you and a couple of guys down there running around, and I'm giving you money. You might take it and have a good Christmas or something.
Hmm.
My belief does not teach me that. That's dishonorable. We're here just to help these people. Um, and we
Oh,
actually have right now we have $533 from PayPal donations, and we're banking that. It's in my savings account. Um, and
Jody just,
that's
or I'm
that's
sorry, Life's a Dance just sent you a PayPal.
oh, thank you. We do appreciate it. So we're trying to bank all this so we can
and
have those funds for building materials and things like that. We get them in, we get them home, cool. That's awesome. We have you heat. We can get you generators. OG Garland from Johnson City, Tennessee, local businessman. He went out and with his own money
hmm
purchased like 3 dozen generators. Greg Biffle from BCI.
Yep.
Greg Biffle flew his personal helicopter in, and Heath was there. Heath is right
Yep.
next to me, by the way. He witnessed it. He brought in two 2,500-gallon gasoline trucks to fuel up generators, and we have 55-gallon drums full of
Yeah.
diesel and kerosene and gasoline, and for people's cars. You know,
I
hey, if you need to
wasn't.
go somewhere and get supplies outside of the region, um, Greg Biffle's top notch, man.
I
He's
was. I was almost in tears when I saw that. When you sent me those videos to begin with, and then you shared them,
mhm.
it's amazing. And guys, to be honest, Niels will show you everything and where every penny goes.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is legit. Okay, guys. He's him and I don't want to say his team, but all of them are really working hard.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everything that everybody's doing tonight. Me and traders both, and everybody out there that can't say anything, but thank you.
And
Yeah.
I think this is
You're
our
very
way.
welcome.
I think this is our way. There's a lot of people like me that cannot physically go to North Carolina and
Yeah.
help. What would
Yeah.
I don't have a trade necessarily. I don't, I'm not prepared for disasters. I'm no kind of EMT, but the way we can help is getting the word out,
Yeah.
sharing everything that you guys are doing,
Exactly.
and
building
and
up
you
people, supporting people, and it's incredible. So thank all of you for
Mhm.
you're doing exactly what I'm doing. We're trying
yeah,
to get this word out.
and if you want to go buy a pair of warm socks or warm boots, muck boots or warm boots, or if a sleeping bag, and you're like, man, I want to send it down there, but I don't know how, um, just go to my YouTube post from today, or if you have TikTok, at Nils_Ironwolf, and for Mitchell, Yancey, and Watauga counties, the distribution sites, the address is there. The address is on there. I spoke about it. I post all of that information at the end too, so you can
Mhm.
see it. So you can send it directly to them. FedEx, Amazon, UPS was running through the areas, even in Green Mountains. You know, half the roads washed out, and they're still getting stuff in through there via UPS and all these other delivery services. So if you don't feel comfortable like donating money, even to me, and you want to send something down there to them that's a critical supply, obviously propane you can't. But if you want to buy a buddy heater and ship it down, because they're leaving the little propane tanks, every distribution center has, or they can get it somewhere close from a supply area. Um, those addresses are there. Ship it down. They'll make sure they get out to the right people. It's not about me getting donations and PayPal, or if eventually when Anissa forces me to do the Cash App. If you just
Shush.
want to send it straight down, do it. Do it. I encourage that as well. Whatever helps these people out. We're trying to bank on most of the building materials and get a large fund started. And I've told people 99.9% of the funds are going to go to these people. And they're like, well, why is it not 100%? There is fuel costs that are incurred uh, to deliver these things, um, to help some of those vendors. And by vendors, I mean the company that makes these houses, and for us to go out and deliver it. So, yeah, there will be a small fuel cost. It won't be big.
And,
It's not going to be like thousands of dollars worth of fuel, but we allocate that. And anything that's left over, we buy it for more materials for the communities.
and
Um, Shelving racks to organize these supplies has been a big thing as well.
Mhm. Can I just put this out here real quick? Like I was talking to Nils earlier. Me personally, I work full time. He knows that I love this is my type of thing that I love to do. I love to go out there and help people. Um, we've talked about Hurricane Katrina before that I helped out
Mhm.
in. It was very, very sad. But I
Yeah.
currently, right now, I'm way too far away. I can't help in this situation. And he said the best thing that you can do is promote it like you're doing right now, like
Yeah.
you and Jen are doing, you and traders are doing, and everybody else in the chat, even if it's not a donation, just letting other people know, sharing it out. That is helping more than you will ever know.
Yeah,
You don't have to
absolutely.
put in.
I don't get political about this, and I've even stopped it on my channel. But I will say this: when the news stops talking about it, and we still are, that's
Mhm.
important. So people know exactly what's going on. It's not a 3-week thing and then you're done. I mean, hell, they found that 5-year-old just a few days ago, down there. Both of his parents were dead, and he was eating whatever he had in his house. And the kid's okay. The kid's okay, and they
Thank
got the
God.
parents out.
I didn't tell them
Um,
about that yet.
yeah,
So
they died in their house, and the 5-year-old just stayed there. I mean, you're 5. What would you know? You stay in your home. But he wandered off and found some. I think it was the Samaritan's Purse team got in another house, and he led him back to his house. He just told him that his parents were sleeping. Um, that's very traumatizing for a child, not knowing what's going on either. Um, it's just absolutely devastating. That's one of many stories that's going on around there with some of the survivors that they found.
Yeah.
And we've got to take care of these people. You know, when they're focusing on Israel and Lebanon and Iran and North Korea and South Korea, you got people in your backyard that are suffering. I had a guy that had posted, "Hey, I'm in Lebanon. Our people are suffering. Can you send me some money?" And I just deleted it. I was like, we have people in North Carolina and East Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. Their communities are forming supply centers and taking care of the people in their area. And here you are asking me for money and you can't take care of yourself. Fuck you, go away.
Yep. I've seen a lot of, because when you lose everything, your ID, your birth certificate, your social security card, your debit card,
medications.
your medications, your clothes. I mean, you have what's on you, and that's it. Whatever you could hold on to, that's what you got. So when it comes to the relief, well, if you don't have an ID, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. There's centers down there, the disaster relief centers, which are also distribution centers too. The major distribution centers that offer for that. They moved in DSNAP, disaster um, SNAP benefits for people. There's so many organizations that are offering free food. You reposted that today, what I posted up on YouTube. Um, if you need help, it's there. But at the same time, Appalachian folk, we're not the type to take free handouts. But these people need help, and we told them, hey, we're from Appalachian too. We're going to help you. And there's people from California, Oregon, Washington State, Canada, UK, all parts of Europe that are sending money and donations just to help, and that means a lot. That really means a lot.
And guys, that was just one child, okay? I don't want to talk about, but I can't imagine the other families, okay, guys?
No, it's fine, Catlin. Lebanon got bombed by Israel.
Yeah, it's not Lebanon.
That Lebanon.
Yeah.
Not Lebanon, Tennessee.
Lebanon, but not Lebanon.
Yeah.
It's
not,
Lebanon.
not Lebanon, Missouri.
No.
They're okay out there, trust me. The Show Me State is fun.
No, she's not Lebanon, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, not that either. Oh gosh, that'd be
Because it's
bad.
pronounced two different ways. It's Lebanon or Lebanon.
Oh yeah, trust me. If it was, there'd be a rush by a bunch of hillbillies to get Jack Daniels tonight.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to play those 2 last videos that he put out that maybe can show some people if they want to?
Sure.
I mean, did you have anything else, Nils, that you want to say, or I'm not
I
trying to cut you off short. I mean,
no,
if
you're fine. I can take open questions, or if there's anything for
yeah,
for you
absolutely.
guys.
All right, I'm gonna be right back. I gotta go get me some more water and take a little break for a moment.
Sounds good.
Okay. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I know one of the questions earlier was, were you here, let me actually just pull back up the question. Was the damage also from the Duke Energy water releases?
Oh, the dams. Yeah, the Lake Lure Dam and other stuff. So in anticipation of flooding events, they have to release a certain amount of water into the dams. Now, you have to understand that normally that amount of water, unless they release the whole fucking lake, it's not going to make that much of an impact in raising the water levels. So
Okay.
all of this was the majority of this damage was from the amount of rain that they received in a short period of time. And I'm talking like six months worth of rain,
Right.
and 3 to 5 hours.
I know I watched, I've got some videos saved a geologist kind of did a map, and the landscape that actually makes up the Appalachian Mountains, I want to say they call it, oh, I don't want to say it. It's like a lava rock.
Yeah.
And because of that, just like you mentioned, 6 months of rain on that, just the landslides were just like nobody's ever seen. I put together any videos that I'm coming across on YouTube. I'm trying to put this public list together. I can't think of this guy's channel off the top of my head. And then also we got one more comment. It's not really a question, but Squids is saying Elon Musk just launched a modular home startup called Boxable. They say they can be bought for 10,000 US, and construction hours once on site, plus the way they fold up cuts shipping costs a ton.
Yes. Yes, that's part of the pop-up kid houses, and most of these tiny homes cost anywhere between $6,000 and $11,000, depending on the size. And to give you an idea, it's about half the size of a trailer, of a 14 by 40 trailer, 14 by 80 trailer. So it's about half that size. Most of them are 2-bedroom. It has a living room and small dining room and things like that, and kitchen. So that's what we're aiming for, to get these people in, and then getting the pots and pans and appliances and things like that is not a big deal. We want to make sure that they have the shelter first.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally get it. Where are you going to put the pots and pans?
Yeah.
All of us know it's about to get really cold.
Yeah.
It's about to get really, really cold. But I'm back.
I mean, it's cold down there right now. It's
I know.
34 where I'm at. It's just as cold. They're at a higher elevation than I am right now. So, and I live in the mountains. So, yeah, it's getting cold, and it's going to snow very, very soon. Around Halloween is when it snows really good in Appalachia. So, Appalachia.
Thank you, Appalachia.
Down south, we say Appalachia, and the way up north they say Appalachia. It's weird.
Are you southern or northern now, though?
Right now, we'd be considered central. In
Oh,
West
is that
Virginia,
what you're going to claim? You're central now?
yes, central. I mean, we're all south, but and pretty much everything below the Mason-Dixon line. But they call us. Sorry, my buddy Jeff's here from out of town. So they call us Central Appalachia, and I think that's more like Pennsylvania. But yeah, we're more southern. Pretty much West Virginia south all the way to Alabama. That's Central Appalachia.
Elon Musk has done a great deal for the people with the Starlink.
Oh, absolutely. We were delivering Starlink left and right. There was helicopter pilots coming in, dropping off solar panels and Starlink systems. And we're delivering it to those most in need and don't have communication.
That's amazing.
And internet, so they can, keep in touch with family members and be able to communicate with us and other people in the area. And there's elderly too that they just can't come out to get supplies. Cool, we'll load it up and we'll set it on your front doorstep.
I have one quick question before she plays the videos. If somebody's listening right now that does have family that's still missing, or has somebody they're talking to, what is the best way that they can get in touch with y'all? They don't have any means like telephone. What kind of tips would you give them?
Notify the local.
But if they can't, like, start a fire, I mean, if they're still needing help, is what I'm saying. And I know it's been a while, and I know it's only rescue now. But let's just say if they do
recovery, if you do need help, there's people in the areas that'll help you. There's many that are still doing door-to-door wellness checks. Be patient. We haven't forgotten anybody. It might take a little bit to get to you, but be patient. And it's not going to be 2 weeks till we get to you. It could be 6 hours.
Is there anything that you're asking people to write on the door, write on a house?
Just help. Just help. Don't draw any shapes, because when we go through and we mark like cars and houses and places like that that are cleared, we actually, when we clear it, and if there's nobody in there, we'll draw a circle and then an X across it. We use the USAR grid system as well, so that other rescuers that come through will say, okay, they've hit that house, they cleared it, it's okay. We don't need to search that house. Okay. And that mitigates a lot of time and doing these searches.
All right. Now, if you guys sub to Neil's channel, I know I've dropped it. You guys probably already, and I'm gonna put it back in the chat again. When he's down there, he also has a TikTok. and it's just Niels the Iron Wolf, and I'll type that in.
Are they
Yeah,
giving out
Niels.
Starlink phones?
No, just the Starlink module systems, not the phones. So if you have a cell phone and you're able to charge it, they are offering that.
But on his YouTube and TikTok, he's doing plenty of updates while he's down here. This video, he's on his community page. He's sharing farmers are still in need of hay, things like that. So he'll update on his community posts. He's sharing the resource lists and just kind of giving overall updates because he does still have people down there. So when you guys sub up to his channel, he does post a lot of updates, which is
Like
nice.
Nils said, just because they leave for a little bit, because Nils does have a full-time job, there's still
Yeah.
people there.
Yes,
And
our teams.
he has,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you have
No, you're.
contact with a lot of people. If anybody needs something ASAP, you have contact with them.
Correct.
And I also got a text. It sounds Burnsville in particular is needing, they've got lots of canned foods and non-perishables, but people are needing things for their freezers and fridges and fresh foods now. So I got a text in. Absolutely, as much as you can, help local. And if you can't help, if you can't go there, I know they need, I know Neil's touched on this, electricians, tradesmen, or
Yes.
women, any kind of trades people, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, everything, tree cutters.
And Burnsville does have water, and part of it does have electric. I know Cane Creek, they still don't have electric. It's going to be 6 to 8 months till it's restored because they have to get new lines, poles, things like that, get the rest of the debris out for the linemen to be able to access this. So it's not the electric companies being, they're not slacking off or anything or being lazy. As there's a lot of stuff to get out of the way so they can move the big trucks in to be able to move the lines and the other equipment in to be able to restore power, which is very important.
Nils, what is your TikTok account? Well,
it's Niels the Iron Wolf.
Yeah, no. It's Nils _ Iron Wolf.
I did get the fake account today, and I did turn that in.
Yeah, so I have almost good. Yeah, report it as quick as possible so people aren't stealing funds and mimicking and shit. But I have almost 22,000 followers. That's the best way to, it's like 21.6 or 21.9, I can't remember. So that's the best way, is if you go on there and you see like 2,000 followers or 200 or 10,000, I have almost 22,000 followers. And you cannot recreate that on a profile on TikTok. So that's what you want to look for.
There is a fake one.
See all my videos. Yeah, there's many fake ones on there that I've reported and blocked. 3 were removed just the other day, and everybody's reporting them, but it takes more than one report.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. Thank you, Tracy. I forgot about that. So, and y'all, if y'all have any questions, I'm not going to give out Neil's number because I'm sure he gets bombarded enough, but Jen has a way to get in touch with him. I have a way to get in touch with Niels.
Yes.
Okay.
He's just reached out. Okay.
I'm sending you the person that was texting me. I'm sending you their information. Hopefully, I'm sure you can have someone to help them.
Yep, it just popped up. I just saw it.
Log on to YouTube right now.
Can we just say one thing real quick, guys? And I'm not going to speak for Nils when I say this because I'm going to let him say what he wants to, but he does work a full-time job, y'all. So with that being said, if I send him a message or Jen does, Traders Jen, Nils, I think you might want to touch on this. Don't be upset if it's not being, discussed or given a result or a comment back to it within 24 hours because he still does have a life that he has to provide for. And, you know what I mean? Like you said before.
Yeah, we're still getting updates from down there, and I try to post them when I have. We're going to post one more county tomorrow. I have a busy weekend here at home, of course, with friends here from out of state, and
Mhm.
some of them actually two that were on our team will be here as well. Um, Heath is already here. We're waiting on one other tomorrow morning. Um, and then people bombarding me with messages on TikTok,
Mhm.
and texts, and trying to respond to them in at least 24 hours. I think it was the night of the 19th, the 17th or 19th. It was an odd number. I remember it that way. I responded that night to 1,417 messages.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the point that I almost shut my DMs off on TikTok, which is why I started posting a lot of these updates for locals and things like that, and people from out of the area that know, okay, I know where to take these resources at and what they need, to try to mitigate that. There's still people uh, texting me or messaging me on TikTok, hey, I want to come help. Where do I go? Look at my
Mhm.
video from today. So I might actually shut it off tomorrow,
Good.
because it's just been too much, and I don't have anybody that can vet and read that for me.
Right.
Uh, So it's just
Understood.
been a lot. And even though I'm off work right now from my job until Tuesday, okay, I gotta look at my schedule. But anyhow, so yeah, we're still coordinating with the teams down there and posting this information, finding out what they need so we can update it daily to people and get into those areas and new search and recovery areas. Most of the search and recovery teams have started demobilizing as of Monday, Sunday or Monday. But there are still local teams that are out there actively searching. And that's it. It's they're just local. They're not at the state level or federal level, because after 3 weeks, that's the time frame. And it's morbid to
Right.
think that way, but that's the time frame to where you're not going to find anybody alive for search
No.
and rescue. It's a full-time recovery operation, and you can't focus on that for the next 6 months because these people need to get in shelter, and that's the most
Correct.
important thing.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot of hard choices, and I'm glad that there are people that are able to make those hard choices because they will save so many lives doing that, not over doing resources that are just going to hurt you in the end and hurt more people in the end.
Hey, Niels, did you ever see FEMA there when you were there?
Did I ever see what?
FEMA.
No,
Did you ever see Red Cross?
Can't remember the name
no.
of the DLC. Necron.
Did you ever see any organization that we've discussed before?
No Salvation Army, no Red Cross, no FEMA. We did see some Airlands Purse. They were
Mhm.
everywhere. World Kitchen. There was a group actually out of Alabama. A guy and his family and friends started his bio some. I don't want to say biofuel, but it was bio something.
I don't know
Um,
that. Okay.
and they were out delivering food to people, hot food, cooking it, delivering it right there on site. They were delivering. As a matter of fact, when we were on that pile looking for Lenny, they ran food all the way from Green Mountain to where we were working on
Oh,
the Toe River, and chicken and rice and brisket. They ran us hot food that day while we were waiting and just anticipation of finding something, and hung around with us for a while. And he's on TikTok as well. You can find him on my followers list. He's commented many times. It's LL and Jake. Great people. The
Mhm.
guy that owns it, his name's Jeff, and sat out there and chit chatted with us just to take our mind off of what was going on in the situation and just delivering that hot food to everybody that was out there. He'd pull up, how many meals do you need?
That's
We
amazing.
need 9. Okay, here's 5 extra. Um, Introduced himself and hung out with us for a while. They were great people, and it was organizations like that and local church organizations that were doing the same. They were checking on the rescuers and the volunteers as much as they were checking on the locals. They took care of the locals first. If they were good, then they would help us out.
That's
You're in
amazing.
Florida too.
Yeah,
All right. I think we'll play Lenny too because Lenny, that broke my heart. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
Wow.
I don't know the man.
Leonard Wadowski, they called him Lenny or Ski. He's a Juilliard accomplished fiddle player, and violinist. He was a pillar of his community. He's 72 years old. Great man. And the night it happened, him and his neighbor had moved their vehicles up on the ridge before the major flooding had occurred.
Mhm.
Um, and So when it started, He had to go back into his house. His wife Peggy was up and elevated on the ridge there, and he said, I have to go back in the house for one more thing, and had a in the basement he had like a container, like a tote,
Mm-hmm.
full of life vests, because living along the river, everybody's gonna,
Yeah, that's
fly
what we want.
fish and canoe, kayak, and raft and stuff.
Yeah.
So she said he was wearing a blue life vest. So that's what we were looking for too among our searches. And it was actually a pink life vest with a blue interior, and he had put it on backwards. And so we knew he didn't snap it. The water was knee deep. He went back in his house for something. We don't know what it was. And he told his wife Peggy, I have to go back in and get this. And he was in there only for a moment, and the house was swept away. So you can see video of it on YouTube. He had a stone fireplace, and you could see just the top 12 inches of the fireplace sticking up through the floodwaters.
Oh my
But his
God.
house was swept away down towards the suspension bridge. It got held up by the suspension bridge, and then he said it just looked like the house exploded. But the water was only knee deep when he went into it at the time. That's how fast the waters rose. So where we found the life vest in a bend down the Tow River, just a few miles away from Green Mountain, it was maybe 4 or 5 miles away. Uh, we saw it actually. We didn't notice it. We drove by it and didn't notice it at first, and that part of the Tow River had gotten washed out. It was destroyed. We couldn't go any further. We were trying to get down to Relief, to that area to search. So we turned around. Well, Christy had turned around. Christy and Scott, they had a small SUV, so we had to back up, and then she just hit the brakes and hollered on the radio, there's a life vest up here. And we saw it when we looked over, and it was hanging off a branch over that debris pile, that natural flow that had washed into the barn and destroyed the barn. So we all jumped out, and Christy ran up there, and we got it. We took a picture of it and sent it to his wife, and she confirmed it was his. And then um, it was a very um, it was a very emotional moment.
I'm sorry.
And so the way that the debris was compacted so much, and you have to understand, like the bigger root balls from trees and the bigger timber, well, the rocks, they'll stay at the bottom and they'll just roll and destroy everything in their path. The biggest timbers will stay in the middle of the depth of the water, and they'll just bob up and down. And then the lighter stuff, the smaller timbers, will, that's what you see bobbing and floating in floodwaters. And then what we call duff or snags, which are like the smaller branches and debris, pop bottles or whatever garbage is along the banks, that's what floats on the top. So his life vest being up there and being buoyant, we knew that, and you could see that the layer of compaction on that, it was so thick. It was so thick, and every single one of the timbers was laid almost like a floor joist in a house, and then everything was compacted out off of that. So when the water's lower, all of the lighter stuff that's on top, it just packs down on top of the bigger debris that's on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a crevice and a void, and when we walked up, we could smell something. We could smell a body, and we thought for certain everything added up, and we knew for sure that he was in there. And I had crawled into a small void and scraped debris and silt back, and crawled in there to see if I could locate something that was an indication of his. We knew he was wearing a t-shirt, tennis shoes, and blue jeans, and we couldn't see anything. So because of the weather, we had to call off the rest of the search that night on that pile, and we got a heavy equipment team in, a guy and his family and his employees from Bowling Green, Kentucky, um, and picked it apart piece by piece. And you can't just go in there and just start tearing it apart with a claw. You have to literally, like a stack of toothpicks, or like a mound of toothpicks, you have to take it off from the top layer one by one and search. And then when you get down to the soil, if there's silt, dig through that and see if there's anything. So it was 9.5 grueling hours, all the way down to virgin soil, and we never found anything. And trying to keep updates with Peggy, because we had fairly good cell service there where we were at, and trying to update her with everything that was going on. So it's an emotional roller coaster when you find something like that, and then you do all of that work and nothing shows up. And it's absolutely heart-wrenching, because you want to find him, but at the same time, not many people want to find a dead body after 3 weeks. So
Right.
it's a roller coaster of emotions when you're doing recoveries like that. and he was one of the many in the area that we were looking for. Another guy was Dave Keister, which was his neighbor, his next door neighbor, and he was interviewed on YouTube as well and TikTok. So we went in. See, that was the 16th. We went in that Thursday, and we were going to search another area. And our communications director, Misty, had come up. She was also one of the volunteer coordinators. And we were eating breakfast that morning and at the VRC, and she came up and she said, "You remember Dave Keister?" I said, "Yeah, he's on our list. We're looking for him too." And she said, "Well, you can mark him off the list." And our hearts sunk. And she said, "He was found. He's okay." And we were like, "Oh, thank goodness." And she said, "He walked through my door last night." Misty's local. She said he walked through my door last night. He's traumatized, of course, because he was swept away in a car, and he tried to drive up the side of a mountain to escape the floodwaters and was swept away.
Gosh.
And he survived. So we were very, very thankful that he was found. But we couldn't find Lenny.
Right.
And just the trauma, and you can see it in that photo too. Just the trauma from the left side, which actually would be the right side of the PFD. And the foam flotation was ripped out of it. There was a lot of trauma to it, and we just knew that he suffered.
I wasn't going to mention any of that, but okay.
And it broke our heart. It absolutely broke our heart.
Because when you sent me the photo of that, I knew.
Oh yeah, the webbing's very strong on
Yeah.
PFDs, but when we saw that part ripped away, there's a lot of debris in that river, and we knew.
It didn't
We
come
knew.
from anything when you see the vest that he was wearing.
Yeah, and that means that he was separated from that flotation device, and there's a lot of people that are buried in silt and mud, like 16, 30 feet deep. Some will probably never be found, and
so guys,
we're gonna keep searching though.
just please understand that many of us cannot be there, but we can at least support the ones that are there. And when there's updates given, the most you can do is just share it out, because maybe some loved ones that don't have that communication might see it from somebody that they know. And this is the main reason that me and Traders decided to do this tonight. Because this is sad. All this
And
YouTube drama doesn't mean anything compared to this. Nothing.
No. We were actually joking down there on a humorous side.
Yeah.
When something happens like this, and I'll say Appalachian folk help Appalachian folk, but America is helping these people. Whether you're from New York, New Jersey, we had people from there too. California, Montana, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. I mean, all over America. Florida. There was a guy in Green Mountain. He's from Northwest Florida. He was prior service with 7 Special Forces Group. There's Green Berets and Delta guys all over the place. You know, these guys have served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they can't now. And they're there kicking ass, you know, helping people. And the first responders, and just there was a PA, there was a physician assistant serving us food every day. Her name's Kathy. She's amazing, by the way. But the point is, there's Christians, you know, Free Will Baptist, Presbyterians, Catholics, whatever, Billy Graham ministries, and all these other church groups and stuff. And then you have heathens, a lot of Norse pagans running around. Belief didn't mean shit. Our like, we have our own principle and our own values and our own beliefs, but it didn't mean shit because everybody was there for the same reason. You know, we had Christians that were praying for us as heathens, and any blessing and prayer is a good thing if to help others. And in ancient times, it all meant the same thing. So, you know, I had a Christian pastor, former vet, or he is a vet rather, and he came up to me and says, "Hey, you mind if I pray over your team? Do it. Any blessing is a good blessing. It doesn't matter what your belief is." That was our mentality. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican or Libertarian or Independent or Muslim or Buddhist or Christian or pagan. It didn't matter there. We were all in it for the same end goal and for the same basic sense of humanity. Those are our people, and they need help, and that's why we're there.
That's amazing. I love hearing that. I know the camaraderie, the community. I mean, a community is really built when tragedies happen.
So I'm married to a Christian. That's what makes it really cool because our holidays are awesome, by the way. But me and Heath and Caleb, we're all in the same community. We're all heathens, Norse pagans, and we actually made a joke. It's like, man, we've been in a church more in the past week than we have in the past 30 years. Because we're dropping all of these supplies up to churches. And for those that
Oh
don't
yeah.
know, the churches, just because they're the center of most communities in America,
Mhm.
the reason that most of these supply centers were in churches because if they wanted to, the government couldn't come in and take it out.
Right.
They could not go into a religious establishment and force them to relieve themselves of their supplies.
Yeah,
So,
I did see a press conference. I want to do its own story on it, and I have to dig into it a little bit. About some of the, I believe it's the governor in North Carolina trying to get people not to, or to take the buyback from the federal
yeah,
government to not
don't do it.
rebuild. So I want to do a deep dive soon on what towns, what exactly that means.
Yeah.
So I probably have that done in the next week or so. That will be, I think that's gonna be, I've seen a lot of upset people because that's what
Hmm.
I've been trying to do. Just any video I see, reach out to the person, reach out to the creator, leave a comment. I want, like I mentioned earlier, I am just now seeing things about Hurricane Katrina. Helene is bringing out everybody's old trauma from Katrina. Helene is bringing it out, and a lot of the same people went back to help, and they're doing the same things, um, saying this devastation is just as Neil said. It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for this, even though that is what we do when we show up to disasters. We prepare ourselves.
Yes.
So with Katrina, now that I'm learning all of these things I've never heard before, this opportunity, if we can share these stories of people, rescuers, volunteers, survivors, that means they're not alone. Their stories will be forever out there. They will be able to find their new people to help them through this. This is going to take years to unpack. Any video I've ever seen on TikTok, it's the way they look. It's this, I don't know how to describe it, but it's the way it's like a shell shock. And I think that's the most insane thing that I'm seeing in a lot of these videos that people are putting out. Just when they're talking to the locals, the shell shock. And even Catlin mentioned when it starts to rain, how, that's
Oh
going to
yeah.
impact.
Yeah. It rained there, and we were watching the locals very closely because of the trauma. Um, I want to get into FEMA for a minute as a former employee, just to explain to people how FEMA works. I'm not going to say I'm happy with FEMA in handling of this disaster, but they're trying to correct themselves. So FEMA was formed April 1st, 1979, April Fool's Day of 1979, funded after the creation of the Robert T. Stafford Act, which is basically unlimited funding to states in the event of a disaster. So you have this congressional act for unlimited funding, basically, and you have to have an agency to be able to handle those funds and basically disseminate those funds. So there, as far as a disaster declaration, FEMA cannot move into a state before a disaster declaration is requested and approved. Because it goes against state rights, it goes against the Constitution of the United States. But they can move onto federal land, like Army bases and other places. That is federal land. Governors can, if they know in anticipation of an event, they can declare for an emergency declaration, which is like preventative measures, sandbags, dikes, things like that. Just anything emergency that would help to mitigate the disaster. But in order for a disaster declaration to be made in these states, for FEMA to move in and start offering aid and resources, there has to be a certain threshold of the damage. That's done by what we call PDAs, which are preliminary damage assessments. Those are done at the local level between law enforcement, fire service, EMS, utility agencies, things like that. They can go around and record the damage and say, okay, yes, we meet the threshold. Send that up through the county, and it goes to the governor's office, um, and to where they can send in the disaster declaration. But the state has to agree to pay 25% of whatever the overall disaster costs are. Sometimes they'll negotiate and it'll be 15%, 85%. Roy Cooper of North Carolina delayed that by 5 days. So we don't know if he didn't meet the PDA, or what the reason was for the delay. There's one guy at FEMA is sent to headquarters in DC, which is on the other side of the National Mall. He gets it. He runs it to the White House, chief of staff, or one of the president's representatives will sign it. They'll send it back and stuff, and then notify them, hey, it is. And then you have the massive mobilization of resources, which takes a week or two. That's normal.
Mm-hmm.
FEMA, you have to understand, isn't this miracle superhero rescue agency. They're a coordinating agency. That's it. They don't go in and they don't take anything over. They have a designated FCO, which is a federal coordinating officer, and they go in and they work with the state coordinating officer, which is normally the state director of emergency management or the governor's appointee, to say, what do you need? And then FEMA gets those resources. The swiftwater rescue teams and the urban search and rescue teams were mobilized very quickly. They were all in Florida by the time Helene hit, and North Carolina, and had to mobilize and go back to South Carolina and or go up to South Carolina and into North Carolina. And they have incident support teams that go with them as well for equipment, food, whatever. So there's a slight delay and a day or two, but most of them mobilized within 24 hours, and it's very impressive. Then there's state offices that are set up through the federal government, which is called joint field offices, somewhere close to where the SCO and the FCO is there, and the entire planning staff, which is the incident management team, which is what I was a part of. We know where everybody's at doing what every day of the week. The operational periods are anywhere between 12 and 24 hours. So a new plan is issued that everybody is aware of statewide. It's called an IAP, an incident action plan. And our team helped write those incident action plans. So with that said, there was a delay and a federal request. But at the same time, it's hard mobilizing all of these resources. And for Region 4 headquarters for FEMA, which is in Atlanta, it has a huge warehouse and tons of stuff, is trying to get these resources staged to the right areas and the right people at the right time. They dropped the ball. They dropped the ball in Georgia. They dropped the ball in North Carolina. There was a delay. And it was very irritating to see as a former FEMA employee, to look at them and say, y'all fucked up. Y'all fucked up. And there's many in FEMA that understand that. And then you have all these communities in Appalachia that were stubborn and self-sufficient, basically. That you have FEMA moving into these areas, and they're scared to death, which is why you see like Border Patrol and U.S. Forest Service Police and the park rangers moving in, so they can have some type of armed escort, because people are pissed off.
Yeah.
We all of these national agencies like Red Cross and Salvation Army were nowhere when we needed them.
Yeah.
FEMA wasn't, and we have boots on the ground in FEMA. They're IA, individual assistance. Those are the ones you see in the jackets with the iPads going door to door to get assistance. None of that was anywhere in 5 counties we operated in 2 states.
That's scary.
Yeah.
It is scary.
The last time that happened was Katrina.
Yeah.
Now, Craig Fugate, I worked under him when he was the administrator. He was actually one of the operational officers too in the 1997 Florida wildfires in Volusia and Flagler County. He was director of Florida Emergency Services. Great guy, absolutely great guy. Um, in 2015, he started a rural initiative within FEMA, knowing that, and you can statistically, you can look at it for all the fact checkers out there, that 90% of all the major disasters don't happen in major cities. After 9/11 and other disasters, all this funding was sent to the major cities, but these disasters don't happen in major cities. They happen in rural areas. You know, the flooding we had in Greenbrier County and Kanawha County, Clay County, and other counties in West Virginia in 2016, the Joplin, Missouri tornadoes. These are
Yeah.
all in rural areas. They're not in major metro areas. And so Craig identified that, and he said that's where we need to start focusing our attention for emergency management, and told people keep water and food and supplies for 2 weeks. All these prepper groups popped up, which is great for communities, but um,
Mhm.
that's where we need to start focusing on, because you're not going to get any help for 2 weeks if you're in that
Right.
remote of an area.
Mhm.
So make sure you can survive on your own for 2 weeks. So most of the people that where we were at, they were disgusted that they didn't see FEMA, but they weren't worried about it at the same time. Um, it was other areas like Asheville and some of the smaller surrounding towns that were really pissed off about it.
That
I
makes
think
sense.
I just seen. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anissa.
No, I just said that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
what are you saying? You're just saying what?
I think I is it Asheville that just got. It would be about 5 hours ago. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure I don't screw up the town. Just got drinking water.
Yeah, Asheville and Burnsville, their water is good. Wastewater systems are still working on. They don't want people to flush any solid waste. So that doesn't mean you can't poop in the toilet and flush toilet paper. They don't want anything else that can mess up the water sanitation
Awesome.
systems. But yeah, Asheville and Burnsville both have water.
Oh yeah, here it
Uh,
is right here. Share this. And this is the stuff. Like I said, you see the initial wave of course, you see the initial wave of damage. You know, there's people still missing, but all of these other components, no cell service, no running water, no, the water that is there is now contaminated by sewage, by gasoline, by oil, by any other chemicals.
yeah,
It's incredible.
yeah, and it's going to take time. That's what people have to understand. Is it's going to take time, but help is there. It's getting more coordinated and organized. There's a lot more cooperation, but you've got to let these guys, the utility companies, utility workers, you have to let them do their job, and not get in the way. Like all over North Carolina,
Yeah.
uh, with debris removal from your house and your yard, keep it 20 feet from the right of way so they can get volunteers, utility vehicles, emergency services, and things like that, so they can drive those resources where they need to be. So don't put it right next to the road. Keep it back a little ways. And there's county contractors in every county in North Carolina for the affected regions that are coming by with skid steers and dump trucks and front end loaders and excavators that are coming and picking this up and moving it out of the way. But it's not going to happen in 24 hours. So you have to be very patient. The same as us getting supplies and stuff to people. We're going to get to you as fast as we can, but we just all need to cooperate.
Not to barge in, but the gentleman that you said about the Life Vest, right, that we were just talking about,
Lenny, yeah,
you did send that video to me, correct?
yes,
Okay,
uh,
I
yeah,
think.
that was the one that showed me with the. As a matter of fact, I have it right here, the same spotlight in my hand because it was so dark in that pile that I would crawl in there with a black diamond helmet and you know hit that light and try to see what we could see top, bottom, 360 all around us to see if we could see some indication of clothing or a limb or something.
Okay.
And that's the
Short
one with
traders, my
me. I'm wearing a black. I've got my sunglasses on, my black beanie, black hoodie, wearing the same necklace now, which is very important to me, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. Um, and pointing towards that debris pile.
It's a
Uh,
huge debris pile.
yeah, it was big. It was huge.
I didn't know
Uh,
that y'all were talking about him when you were telling me about it.
yeah, that was about 10, 12 feet tall, just
Mm-hmm.
compacted material. This necklace that I'm wearing, you'll see it with the buffalo teeth and the wolf head. Of course, our failure in our family and in our belief is the wolf spirit. So I have a friend who's Cherokee from that same area. His name's Keenan. Um, he made this to me. I wore it at a ritual 2 years ago in Hot Springs, North Carolina. They were hit pretty hard. We had a wolf ritual there, and he added the buffalo teeth and the beads to it and gifted it to me for Yule, uh, which is our December solstice holiday. Most people would know it as Christmas, but Christmas lasts one day, Yule lasts for 12, which is where you get the 12 days of Yule. And it's a very gifting, heavy holiday, and he gifted this to me. And because he's Cherokee, and of course we were in Cherokee National Forest and Cherokee Land, I wore this there, so the local Cherokee spirits knew, hey, I'm not an enemy. I'm a wolf as well, and I'm here to help. Because wolves and even their belief are symbolized as guardians and protective spirits. So
Did you find that video, traders?
And I'm sorry, which one?
The
I'm wearing a black beanie, sunglasses, and a black sweater.
Oh, yes.
awesome.
I've actually got camo pants on too.
It's the one of the life vest and then him.
Yeah, give me 1 second and I'll pull it up.
My hero. My hero.
It's on your YouTube, right? Or no?
It's not a public video. I'll just give them to the art. And let me show the life vest. Give me 1 second. I'll have it. There we go. Okay. Let me change my quality here. Okay. All right. So I've got, this is the picture of the life vest that they're speaking about.
Yeah. That was the
And then
only
I'll
thing
find
we were
that
able to find of him.
Okay, Jody. I will. And let me pull it up. I went ahead and combined all of these.
That's
There it
actually
is.
my hand holding up the life vest.
Okay, let me make
That
this
was the
bigger.
road. That was right to the left was where that pile was. So if you actually zoom in on that road, there's one house, and right after that house, you can see where it's blocked off, and the rest of the road was just absolutely demolished. But that's right to the left of that was the road. That's Toe River Road.
There we go. Clear that up. Okay. You want me to play the video? With the black beanie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are currently back on the pile in Yancey County, North Carolina. We have a skid steer and some other help and other equipment available to search for a body and to hear that we could smell but can't locate because of the amount of dust and all the loose debris and the other heavy timbers that are pancaked and stacked on top of each other. But we'll keep you updated. So we're here at Beulah Dean getting ready to go back to try to do this body recovery. Right now it's snowing, and for those that don't believe that it snowed, you can see the white caps on the mountaintops there. So yeah, this is the weather we're working in today, but we're gonna find that body. We're gonna bring people home. That's what we do. It's cool. We're in Beulah Dean, North Carolina, where they set up a supply post at the old Holston High School. It's a community center. And CH-47 Chinook helicopters and other helicopters are bringing in supplies about every hour, dropping it off here and distributing it. Our
We
team is
actually had
heading
to
out
turn
to,
away one of the Chinooks. That Sunday. we had too many supplies, and we told him there was a Army TAC officer, tactical aviation officer, and we actually had to tell her, hey, we got to turn away. We have too many supplies, so they diverted it to. It was either Poplar or Greenville, Tennessee, or Irwin, Tennessee. I can't remember. But this is how it basically worked. So from Avery Airport, and I think it was Rockingham Airport, um, they would hit like Black Mountain, Swannanoa, Spruce Pine, those areas in the morning, and then from noon till about 6 p.m., depending on the weather, they would bring supplies out to us every hour on the hour. They would fly back, load up, and fly back. It was like 20 minutes. So 20 minutes to fly back, 20 minutes to load, or 20 minutes to fly there, 20 minutes to load, and 20 minutes to fly back. And every single one was a hot load, so the rotors were still spinning. And the only thing that was available on the LZ, which was a baseball field that was behind the baseball diamond behind the community center at the VRC slash SDC we were at, was the fork truck. We had a fork truck, and they would slide it to the end. They'd go in, unload it. He'd set it off to the side, and they would fly off. So we took those pallets, whether it was water, food, whatever, and take it over to our staging area, and then wait an hour for them to come back. At the same time, volunteers sorting supplies as needed from people bringing in stuff or what was unloaded from the helicopter.
That's
That's
amazing.
incredible.
So if there was some people that needed supplies that were up on the mountain we couldn't get access to, but they could get there faster by helicopter, we would load it in one of the civilian helicopters, um, and then they would fly it out to where they needed, a Starlink system so we can communicate with them as well, to the people up on that mountain that were trapped. Um, and you have to understand, I mean, other than Greg Biffle and a few others, the redneck Air Force that you heard about, most of those guys are active or uh, retired aviation pilots. So they do this with a relief agency that they belong to, and they do it on the weekends or when they have time. And then of course they have to go back on duty. So that agency has several different helicopters, so they might fly a different helicopter each day. But in Green Mountain, if there's a picture where you'll see the truck beside the road, and then the garbage and the silted stuff along the river. One of the pilots actually landed the helicopter on the road almost every day in Green Mountain. He would lower down, he would get even with the road, slide over underneath the tree canopy and land, and drop off solar panels or Starlink systems or whatever else that was needed right there. Um, and they were just absolutely amazing. There was a retired Army general who's a helicopter pilot. He was flying in supplies too down in Nashville.
That is
General Dick,
incredible. I love
General Dick
hearing.
Cody.
Real quick, I showed you a picture of what he actually looked like playing his little. I call it a fiddle. Okay, a violin, fiddle, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know
he
what
was an
y'all call it
accomplished.
in the north or northern part, but we call it.
Yeah, it's a fiddle. It's a
Okay,
fiddle.
thank you.
The difference between a violin and a fiddle is how you play it, and he was an accomplished Juilliard musician at both. But of course,
There we go.
being in Appalachia, you're going to be a fiddle player.
He's adorable. Y'all
Yeah,
look.
yeah. Tiny little guy, about 140 pounds. He could rip a fiddle like crazy. Didn't take any shit.
And y'all, this is just one person. We already heard about a child that was left to fend for themselves because their parents were sleeping.
Yeah, 2 days before that, they found, I think it was down in Swannanoa, they found a 4 and a 5-year-old um, that they had ropes tied around their waist and they were tied off to a tree, and they never found their parents. They were wading uh, chest deep in mud, and they're okay. Those kids are okay as well. But that's just some of the stories that of how these people were impacted and these kids were impacted.
That's the stuff that's hard to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when it's kids. But to know the kids are okay, that's what makes it better. But it's
Yeah. Ah.
That's the hard part
I'm
for me,
just,
Nina. You know
Yeah.
it. You know that's
Yeah.
my hard part.
Steve and
For
Elena
real,
Ayers, they're two others down in Relief that were impacted, had an 8-year-old daughter, and she's being raised by their grandfather. And she was in a car trying to get to him to get out. He kept telling her, I'm okay. He got swept away. His body was found in Irwin, 20, 30 miles away. She got swept away, and I won't give details on that, but she was found not alive. So, but not far from where he was found. And they had an 8-year-old daughter, and the grandfather's raising her now. I actually had to tell one of her family members tonight.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you were able to give them some answers. The not knowing is excruciating.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't try to tell them directly. Her cousin's best friend, her best friend, and one of her cousins, and then another family member. And it was like, man, uh, I feel for them, that little girl and everything, and I feel for them. And it's not something you want to tell a family member from something like that because they haven't heard anything. And they kept saying, hey, have you found her? Or can you search for her and stuff? And you already know. And
Yeah.
And just, Jilly, I don't think anybody has a number on the missing. And if they did have a number, it wouldn't be accurate. I know Nils commented earlier about fearing 5,700 people to
yeah,
be passed just from North Carolina, but I don't think we even have any kind of number on the missing.
People Finder has a list where people can report in missing and found. They try to update it daily.
What
Before we,
website is that again?
peoplefinder.com.
Peoplefinder.com. Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to turn the camera off for just a second. Step
You're
outside.
fine.
So uh, the I can't remember if it was the 6th, 7th, or 8th of October after we were down there and reviewing the list of people that are missing, and we were at almost 3,000, and I think we're in like HE or something like that. And there's 26 letters in the alphabet. So
Hi,
when you're in the
Good night,
first 10
Renee.
and it's already at 3,400 people, um, it kind of gives you an idea that them recording, the media reporting, oh, there's only 200 people missing, and there's 3,400 reporting missing, and you're only in the last name of HE. That should give you an insight of how many people are actually missing. So the recent count from those that were found and those that are still considered missing, they said was 5,700, but we put that number closer to 10,000.
that's what I thought it would be because they do legitimately have entire towns, which weren't huge towns, but entire towns that were done. There is no town.
All right, Niels. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off now, just so that some people can digest this. I just want to say thank you for everything
Oh,
that
you're very
you
welcome.
come up and said, and gave us information about. And I'm sure that you'll be up here again, telling us updates about everything.
Oh, absolutely.
But
And
thank you again.
randomly, Ash is sharing your information with someone on Facebook named Joey Logano, and he's wanting to help in any way possible. Thank you, Ash, and thank you, Tracy, for putting that website in.
Yeah.
Oh, you're absolutely, yeah, this has been all over Facebook too. People have shared this information on Facebook. So the one thing I can tell you is if you want to help or you're not sure where to send supplies, look at the videos that I posted tonight on Facebook between the 3 counties, and that information for all of the volunteer sites and the different groups are there. So literally all you have to do is walk into a volunteer center and say, I want to help, and that information is there.
That's amazing. That's what I love about that.
Thank
Nils,
you
I
so
just I
much.
appreciate you taking your time out tonight to talk to us and give us the information and updates that you have done. So,
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, and thank you. Everybody share this. This information is important. It's very important. It gets to the locals. They've already showed it on TikTok and other avenues. So, and they're sharing it over every social media platform, and some of them are censoring it. I don't know why, but yes, spread this information as best as you can because it's helping the local people identify where these local resources are that they need. That nobody they live down there. Nobody's telling them, and we're posting this information out so they can see it.
Good.
all right.
All
And you
right.
guys are doing the same.
Well, Nils, thank you again, and I'll let traders take it out.
All
Oh, you're
right.
very welcome.
Thank you all for listening, hanging out with us tonight. Yeah, we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep updating. I know, like I said, Niels will be back down there the 5th or the 6th, and he will. Oops, let me grab his link one more time, put it in the. There we go. And his PayPal link and his channel link are in the description of this video. I appreciate all of you for hanging out tonight. Of course.
And again, if y'all have any questions, any family members, anything, we'll do our best. Jennifer Traders has a way to get in touch with Nils. So do I, personally. Just reach out. Nils is there for everybody, y'all. He is the best person you could ever meet. He
That's
is
what I think is so important about this. All of us just coming together and sharing these people's stories, sharing this information. Like I said, I remember watching Katrina. I remember being there. Not there. I mean, watching it on the news, and I didn't hear any of the things that I'm finding out now. So we don't want the same thing to happen to Helene, and we don't want this to just get pushed over because, like Neil said, there was a delay with the response. What can we do to make sure that every person in authority, the governors, the mayors, whatever, they know what to do. They know what is going to happen. No one can prepare for what happened. I get that. But they can at least have a plan, enact it. I know the state of Kansas, the governor, when severe weather is on its way, like a tornado, she typically issues a disaster emergency ahead of time. So we have National Guard. So we have people ready to help just in case, because most of us have been through tornadoes. And it comes out, and I mean, we know it's coming, but where is it going to hit? What's it going to land? Who's it going to hurt? And I know for me, I don't go to the shelter. I don't go to the basement. I sit on the couch because it never happens except when it does. So.
And just to say this, hey, Catlin, when I first met Niels, before I met any of y'all, I knew from day one he was legit. He was a man's man, okay? He means what he says, and he does exactly what he means. Y'all have known him from my channel way back when. He hasn't changed at all. Just like Harley did. All of y'all met him way back then. But Niels is legit. Niels has always been straightforward. We've had a lot of fun together. And I know y'all remember all the good fun times, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if any time right now, y'all, if you can help out somebody, let's put our feelings aside, okay? And let's help the people that are in need right now. That's all I'm asking. It's not about the YouTube drama anymore. There's real people out here hurting. I can't personally leave because I do work, here in the state of Illinois, like most of y'all know. But you could at least share it out, like I said before, like Jenna said. Or if you're closer, then please reach out. If you want to help out in some other way, give donations, please do. If you want to help search and rescue, reach out. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that Nils could, get in touch with. And absolutely.
Yeah, even sharing this information. Um, and I've told people, it's not the people on the ground taking donations out there doing the hard
Yeah.
work. You guys doing this, and everybody is on the same team. Everybody's on our team.
Yeah.
And I tell them that. Everybody on TikTok, YouTube that shares this, you're on our team. You're helping.
So I appreciate everybody being here. And thank you for putting your differences aside. Okay.
All right. Any final words, Niels?
Don't forget Western North Carolina, East Tennessee. Don't forget them.
Got it.
Sounds good. All right, y'all. I'm going to end it. I appreciate all of you for hanging out tonight, and I'll see you soon.
Bye, y'all.
Skål.